Well, hello there. This is Craig Hain, and my students call me Dr. Dell. You can learn all about me at craighain.com, and you can contact me anytime at my email or my phone number here. And I'm the founder of a company called Triad Math Inc., and our mission is to help all students win with math in a very easy way, and you can learn all about us at our website and how this is accomplished. You might also know about me from one of the 3 books I've written. This one is the Teaching Math book that I wrote back in 2011, which explains all about how any student can win at math and do really well at math, and how any parent can deliver an outstanding math education to the student very cost effectively. And on this video, I'm going to teach you how you can do that. You can download these notes that I'm going to be following and paraphrasing and follow along with me, or just listen to me. Here's what we have for you. We got a post-elementary math program that really works, with no special effort or special math skills on the parent's part. Dr. Dell, which is me, is going to teach math to your child. And all you're going to have to do is sit back and watch and cheer your child on and celebrate successes. Now you can reasonably ask, how am I going to do this? Well, what I do is I've created a sequence of tutorial videos which your child can watch interactively and learn math by simply watching these videos, pausing them, repeating them, working problems along with me. And then once they have feel like they understand it, they're given exercises to do. Of course, practice is how you really learn math. Math's a contact sport. And once the student has mastered these topics, then they're going to be given a quiz to verify that they've learned them and a certificate of completion. And all the parent has to do is sit back and watch and cheer and encourage the student. Now, each lesson is going to cover one topic that the student can spend as much time on as needed to learn the topic. In some cases, it'll go pretty fast, maybe just one study session. In other cases, it may take multiple sessions. But there's never any pressure to hurry and keep up. We're not on a schedule. It's all self-paced, and the student can come back anytime and review the topic whenever it's necessary in the future. And now the question really is, what am I going to teach your student to start off with? Well, we have something that I call the Practical Math Foundation, which is, I believe, where every beginner should start. It consists of 65 topics on 65 lessons. It takes most students more or less 60 hours to complete. Some can do it in 40, some take longer. So we say plus or minus 20 hours. And now for students that are just beginning, one leisurely year will suffice. But we've had students that go through the whole program in less than 3 months. So it really is self-paced, and it's up to the student and their background and their aptitude and their ability to retain knowledge and how much they need to review and how hard they're going to work. Some students are going to need to review very frequently, which they can do anytime, and others not so much. Well, it doesn't really matter whether your student is what I would call a math tortoise or hare. It's a self-paced program. And all that really counts is your student's ultimate success. And we guarantee that success. Now, the first thing we do in the Practical Math Foundation is we teach your student how to use the TI-30XA scientific calculator, because this is the real key to learning practical math. You want to be able to do all of the calculations, the arithmetic calculations that are needed in practical math very quickly and easily, and this certainly is the modern way to do it. Now, this calculator is only going to cost you about $10 at Walmart. But I'll tell you, this is a magical tool. This calculator would have probably been worth tens of thousands of dollars to professionals 50 years ago if they could have gotten one. Now, this training with a calculator is very kinesthetic and hands-on, and it's fun, kind of like a game. It's going to get your student in a good frame of mind. And of course, I deliver these videos, these tutorial videos, in a very informal and friendly manner. This is much like what I call kitchen table math. In fact, this is my fancy video studio. It's essentially a kitchen table setup. And this is how I've taught students for decades, really, mathematics, always very successfully by being informal, being interactive, and letting them really learn at their own pace and making it interesting and fun for them. And most importantly, teaching the proper sequence of topics and not trying to get ahead of ourselves and teach things that are really too advanced for the student at the beginning. Now, of course, your student's going to be given notes to use to accompany the videos, and then a lot of exercises to do. And of course, they're going to work on the exercises, go back and watch the videos, back and forth between the video and the exercises. And finally, when they think they've mastered it, they're going to be given an online quiz, and that's going to convince them and us that they've mastered this topic. And of course, we keep track of all this in our learning management system, and that'll be available to you as a parent to see just how your student is progressing. Okay, let's take a quick peek at the notes that you'll be printing out for your student as your student takes the course. Every lesson will have a set of notes. For example, this is the lesson C8 on how to use the memory functions of the calculator, store and recall. And these are the notes that I use in the video. So I talk about this and I demonstrate it. I have the student work along with me as they study the notes, and sometimes they have to add things into the notes themselves. And then once they've watched the video and done the exercise along with me, then I give them a set of exercises to do. And these exercises, of course, then, is what's going to reinforce that they really understand the lesson, because you learn math by doing it. And, of course, I give them the answers to all of the exercises as well, so that to be sure that they've done them correctly. And then once they've completed the exercises and they take an online quiz to verify that they've done it, the online quiz is really just 3 exercises to do to verify they've learned it. And then they're able to go on to the next lesson, which has its set of notes, and so on and so forth through the program. Now, the Practical Math Foundation goes ahead now to teach your student all of the algebra and geometry and trigonometry that is needed for what I call everyday practical math. And in fact, your student is going to get fully prepared now for what I would call a non-professional technical job or career in industry or in the military. Now, the facts are there's no book that I know of that does this. Your student will be given special notes that will accompany each video. They're going to be having exercise and quizzes. And of course, this is all going to be given to you in a PDF file, so you'll be printing them out as your student studies these lessons. Now, I want to emphasize that this Practical Math Foundation program is not the standard math curriculum that is covered in virtually all current math textbooks and courses that I know about. As a matter of fact, I consider that a failed system, and this is the way that I believe we should teach math. The specific topics that are included in this Practical Math Foundation are listed in a course syllabus, which you can download right below this video, and it will have a list of all the lessons that are taught, starting with the scientific calculator lessons, or 16 of them, then the 10 lessons for the pre-algebra, and then that constitutes what we call Tier 1. Now, in Tier 2, which is still part of the Practical Math Foundation, we start out by teaching them 10 lessons in algebra. And believe it or not, that's all of the algebra they're going to need for what we call practical math. Then they're given 19 lessons in geometry, and this is all the geometry that you're going to need again for practical math in industry and in the military. And then we conclude with 8 lessons on trigonometry, but of course, trigonometry is what you have to do to solve any kind of a triangle problem, where many times it's not sufficient to just use algebra and geometry. And so this is what the 65 lessons then that comprise the Practical Math Foundation. Now, so for you homeschoolers, we consider this to be equivalent to 1 semester of algebra, 1 year of geometry, and 1 semester of trigonometry. And so that's how you would want to give credit to your student for this Practical Math Foundation. Now, this is very important. Your student will also have a coach communicating with him or her periodically. Encourage your student via email as they go through the program. And now you may ask, well, what if your student has a question that he or she just can't get answered by watching the video lesson repeatedly or the emails the coach sends? Well, there's a forum where your student can go to and ask any question and expect to receive an answer within 1 working day or sooner. And indeed, then, if that's not enough for your student, the coach is going to have an online tutorial session just with your student to cover that. This happens very rarely because this is a very well-tested program and students can virtually always get through it without this, but it's available. Now, all you have to do is watch your student's progress and encourage your student to engage in the program. Obviously, that's something that I can't do and the coach can't do. This isn't a magic program. Your student is going to have to put in effort, just like they would have to in learning any game or sport or musical instrument or any other subject. It's got to be, of course, your responsibility to see to it that your student is putting in this effort. Now, you will be able to monitor and track your student's progress from the learning management system. You can simply see what quizzes they've completed, and you'll see the schedule they're on. And this is what I'm going to tell you then. When your student has completed the Practical Math Foundation, he or she is going to know more math than 95% of U.S. adults today and be well prepared to enter what I call a non-professional technical career. Okay, now let's suppose your student wants to go to college. The question you would ask then is, will my student be ready for the SATs or the ACTs for college? And the answer to that is, well, not quite. There is a little more algebra and what I will call a little more number theory that your student's going to need to know to be fully prepared. Also, your student's going to have to know how to prepare for these tests and how to take them. And this is really quite a lot of training involved to get ready for a test properly. Well, we cover that in what we call Tier 3. And that's what all college-bound students are going to need to take. Now, in Tier 3, we're going to start using a great math textbook that's available today called Pre-Calculus Mathematics in a Nutshell by Dr. George Simmons. Now, it's only 119 pages long, only costs about $15, and you can buy it on Amazon. I highly recommend it to you, regardless of whether you buy our program or not or do anything with us. This is an absolutely wonderful book, and we start using it in Tier 3. Now, in Tier 3, getting ready for the SAT, we only use about 30% of this book. There's a lot of stuff in it that you don't need for the SAT, and we don't cover it in Tier 3. Well, that then leads to the question, is my student going to be ready if they want to be a STEM major, science, technology, engineering, and math in college? And that's a very good question, and the answer is absolutely not. There's much more algebra and geometry and trigonometry and pre-calculus math that your student needs to know if they're going to become a STEM major. Plus then, most importantly, your student's going to need to learn how to use a modern tool to solve these STEM type of math problems. Now, this tool that we're going to teach them to use is called Wolfram Alpha. And it's an absolutely amazing tool that was introduced to the world in 2009. And it revolutionizes how modern STEM math is actually done and how it should be taught. And it's available over the internet and it's free. So in Tier 4, we're going to begin to teach your student not only more algebra, geometry, and trig and pre-calculus math, but also we're going to introduce this new tool, Wolfram Alpha, and use it to solve all kinds of problems in this area. But you're still not ready for college because now you need to learn calculus. And in Tier 5, we're going to teach your student calculus the way it ought to be taught today with this modern 21st century tool. Now, believe it or not, calculus is much easier to learn and to do and to practice today than it was in the 20th century with the old techniques and the tools that were taught back then. As a matter of fact, all current calculus textbooks are obsolete. Graphing calculators are obsolete. In fact, no STEM professional was going to do calculus problems the old-fashioned way, just as no STEM professional for the last 40 years would use a slide ruler, a log, or trig tables once the scientific calculator became available. Okay, now the question is, what should you do? Well, if you want your student to embark on their post-elementary math education, just enroll your child and get started and see how they do in Tier 1. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, how am I going to be sure it's going to work? We can give you all kinds of testimonials from kids where it's worked, even ones that were failures when they started and now they like math. But there's no testimony that's going to prove it for your child. There's only one way you're going to know. That's enroll and get started. So we're going to give you a month to go through Tier 1 and teach your child the scientific calculator and pre-algebra. And then if for any reason you're not happy with the program, for whatever reason, simply drop out of the program, cancel, and you'll get a full refund. So you absolutely are not risking any money whatsoever. And indeed, what will happen is your child will at least have a good time learning how to use a calculator and will be ready for no matter what it is you decide to do to go forward. We want to have it so you don't have anything to lose. You've got a lot to gain. So enroll your student and find out if it's going to work. You're going to have full access to the coach and the forum. You're going to learn how to use the calculator. And any time up to 30 days from your enrollment, you can cancel for any reason whatsoever. And the only thing you'll have invested was the money you invested in the calculator. You're going to get to keep all the Tier 1 notes and exercises that your student's been using and come back and review them. You won't have access to the videos, of course, but once you've done enroll, but you'll have all the notes. And I'm going to be very happy that I've helped you and your student at least get started learning math. And I'm going to wish you the very best for your future success. So this is Dr. Dell, hoping you get enrolled now, get your student started, and I'll see you then once you've enrolled, and we'll have a really good time helping your student become a great math success.